take that,
Right.
you know, and then build off of it.
That just makes me really want to work for
Yeah.
you. It's totally opposite in my company right now.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do. I mean, you can't. You have to create that culture of safety.
Right. Okay, so this takes us into what do you look for when you're looking for a potential leader in your organization?
And again, I don't mean to be redundant, but it's all those things that I talked about. You know, is an individual, do they have that self-awareness?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or are they just like this?
Right.
And you have to do that through your interviewing. People can fool you. It'll show pretty quickly once you hire them if they have that or not. So if they're not have that self-aware, if they're not motivated, you know, you can. They're a self-starter. Are they motivated? Are they someone that's going to have that at least the same level of energy that I have to be able to do any and all the things and have the ability to go forward. Obviously, you have to have the competency to do what it is that you're doing. So they have to have the skill set. They have to have the credentials and all those sorts of things to be able to put them even in a position for you to interview for a particular role. But you look at some of those other things. Do they have the people skills? Are they going to be able to, work with individual? Are they going to turn someone off that they're not going to work for them and create more of a havoc, if you will? Those things are important, and I think that I'm going to call them soft skills that you look for versus just what it is on what's on paper.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, in any kind of hospital, there's regulations, compliances. So it's really hard in this type of environment to be creative. How do you promote people to be creative, to come up with new ideas in the hospital?
Yeah, I would suggest you that we're almost over-regulated, whether it be CMS, Joint Commission, value-based types of things that are there, Blue Cross Blue Shield, everyone's throwing everything at you in terms of how you have to be compliant in healthcare. So you have this box, right, that you have to operate within. How do you promote creativity amongst your staff? I mean, it's a perfect example right now that we're going through. The first thing is that you want to do is, I'm going to step away for a second, but she took it. It was an article, I just read just last night, and it's just talking about where healthcare is going. And I'm using my environment right now as healthcare, right? And so healthcare is changing. We're getting reduced reimbursement, as an example, through our major payers, Medicare and Medicaid. They're going more value-based. They're pushing folks from trying to be in the hospital to an outpatient setting. All changes. Okay. It's the regulation, it's the government that's dictating a lot of it, but so how do we respond? Well, we've got to respond by being creative. You have to look at, first thing that you need to do is make sure, I printed that article that I had that just talks about not just McLaren, it's all healthcare systems across America, and I sent that out to all of our leaders. Educate yourself on the changing dynamics. Now, that's where we are. That's what we have to adjust to. Now, you go back to your teams. How do we respond? How do we respond to the things that we have within our control? Do we need to do staff reduction? Do we look at supplies differently? Do we have wastage here? Can we do housekeeping different? How do we clean our beds? Is there something that we can do from a different timing standpoint? Can we change our hours of operation in certain outpatient areas to be able to respond to certain things to make it better? And guess what? You throw it out to those folks. They come back to you with ideas of things that maybe you didn't even think about before. And that's where I say the rounding is extremely helpful for us. As the staff, they know. They're there every single day. They hear from the patients that we care for. And so they come up with those ideas. And the thing that you have, where you're able to make a difference or a change, it's one thing to hear it, but do you put it into action? And take something, you can't take every idea, every suggestion.
Right.
But there are certain things that you can take away to say, okay, you know what, we can do that. And then, do it and then follow up with those folks that made that recommendation so they'll do it again.
All right, I think this is our last question.
Yeah, final question. So what advice can you give to a new MBA graduate that's going into leadership for the first time?
Ooh.
The whole interview, whatever is the advice.
Yeah, what advice can I give you if going into a new role right now? Everything that I just talked about, take it to heart. Okay? And again, that's not just to give you an answer. It's truly, internalizing that. Understand you first. Understand where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. Make sure that when you pick a position, don't just pick a job. You know, it's a career.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you're not just there to collect a paycheck. Understand, you know, the mission of the organization that you're going to be working for. Is that something that matches to you? Is that something that you think that you can thrive in? You look at the individual that you're going to be reporting to. Is it what you believe? Is it the things that I just said, or is it something else that's, you know, is something else that's important to you? Those things are important because if you get into a position where those things are just there, maybe it's what you just described in your current work environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not going to thrive in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that it will totally turn you off, and it won't allow you to be as successful as you want to be. So I think that's the first thing that you need to look at, explore. Now, with saying that, sometimes you're just trying to get an in somewhere to be able to get a job and create it. But if you do that and you get into that situation, then take things into your own hands. What I mean, what do you have control of? Don't ever, and I tell folks this all the time, be as engaged as an employee as that you can possibly be. I put folks into, I don't, when we do our evaluations on employee engagement, it's a tier 1, a tier 2, or a tier 3. And helping individuals understand, what does that even mean? A tier 1, you're a highly engaged employee. Mm-hmm. Tier 2, you're somewhere in the middle. You know, you're mostly engaged, but that Debbie Downer can bring you down occasionally.
Right.
That tier 3, you're checked out. You're just here to collect a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And decipher between what happiness means in the job and work environment versus engagement. You can be happy at work, but you're not engaged, right? How are you engaged, which leads to happiness? So you as an employee, you going into that work environment, what are you doing to be an engaged employee? What are you doing? How do you impact what it is that you're doing? And taking ownership. Wherever you go, and I tell folks this every day here, this is your place. This is your place. Never lose sight of that. And that'll allow you to grow.
Yeah.
I think that's everything we have, unless anybody else has any other
Plans for your time.
You're welcome.
That was very informative.
Yeah, that was very
I
insightful.
feel inspired right now to go back to work after this.
Keep working hard.
Yeah.
makes me happy about my decision. I've decided I'm going to go try to get into medical school after my MBA, so
That is awesome. That is
I'm
awesome.
going to try.
Oh, you can
See
do
how it
it.
goes.
No, you can do it. That's for sure. Just like you said, if you have something that you want to continue to work towards, tell folks every day you can achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
thank
Absolutely.
you very much.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Absolutely.